Most agency owners and coaches are convicted that a long sales cycle is just a natural part of doing business in the high-ticket space. They think that if a prospect takes 3 weeks to decide, it's because the person is busy or needs to really consult their partner. But the truth is, your sales cycle is only long because you are failing to answer the questions inside your prospect's head before they even hop on a call. So you're moving too slow, you're hiding your expertise, and you're letting prospect sit in a state of doubt instead of state of conviction. And the reason people don't trust you yet isn't because you lack a magic closing script. It's because you haven't given them the right pieces of content to shift their beliefs in the framing window. If you aren't planting the right sales assets in front of them the second they booked that call, you're essentially leaving your revenue to chance. So in this video, I'm going to break down the exact 5-part sales asset sequence we use in our agency to scale our clients, to replicate the organic sales process and build speed to trust. I will show you how to live in the result using flex content and why sounding as a character is more important than your actual service delivery at top of funnel. We will also dive into technical side of expert content, from mock podcasts to speaking gigs, and how to use demonstrating content to handle boring tactical objections. Finally, I will give you the exact framework for objection handling assets that do 80% of the closing work for you before they even say hello to your closer. So by the end of this lesson, you will know how to condense weeks of thinking to make decisions into a 48-hour window of total indoctrination. My name is Wojciech Dąbrowski, and I help agency owners, coaches, and consultants in InfoSpace by building the backend architecture that makes growth predictable. I don't just teach theory because I manage teams of closers, and I'm currently scaling my own agency from 50K in profit per month to 125K per month. And based on my expertise, depending on where your business is at, I either implement these sales asset systems for you directly, or I consult with your team or you to fix your conversion bottlenecks. Everything I'm about to share is what I use to close my own deals and what I force my sales team to implement every single day. Let's dive into it. Let me start with the credibility gap, because the reason most of you are struggling to close is that you're under 50K per month mark and you don't have a decade of credibility behind you yet. When a prospect books a call, they are actively looking for reasons to trust you, but they are also looking for reasons to run away. If you don't fill that gap with specific belief-shifting content, the prospect will fill it with their own insecurities and past bad experiences with other agencies. So if you are slow to answer FAQs that live in their subconscious mind, the prospect will fill it, and every hour that passes without an answer is an hour where the deal energy dies. So your job is to build a speed to trust bridge using a sequence of videos that make your expertise undeniable before the call even starts. So to shorten your sales cycle and increase your show up rate, so the amount of people that show to the calls in comparison to how many people book the calls, you need to deploy these 5 types of content in specific order. First, flex content. So living in the result. So you need to demonstrate the outcome people actually care about, whether that's money, biohacking results, or lifestyle, health, based on your industry. Like Ryan Johnson, who looks younger than his son because of his products. He doesn't just explain the science, he is the result people want. Second, expert content. This is where you showcase authority through case studies, testimonials, and association. If you get on a podcast, click the hell out of the footage and use it as a status play to show that other experts take you seriously. Third type of content, being the character. What does it mean? You must look and sound like the industry you're selling to. If you sell to lawyers, wear what they expect a high-level consultant to wear. If you're Cody Sanchez, you play the character of the business buyer in every frame. And that's the fun story. I remember one coaching client I had personally, and he came to me because he was running the roofing agency, helping roofing companies scale. And he did some ads. And I asked him, how's everything going? And he said to me, you know what? These ads are not converting. I said to him, send me these ads, I will give you a proper feedback. And then what I realized, these ads have been very good, actually. But the problem was, this guy was like 17 years old and he didn't look as the roofers do. So what I told him was very simple. Bro, ask your uncle, ask your father, someone who's like 30 plus years old. Let them wear their crazy hats or glasses that actually roofers wear and see what happens. And cost per result dropped 5 times and the ROAS from the campaign become positive, so he started making some money. So how it's huge when it comes to your messaging. Make sure that you resonate with people you want to target. Fourth, demonstrating content. This is the tactical, boring stuff. So kind of the Google Docs, the Loom videos, and the flow charts that show how you actually get the result. And only send this after you sparked curiosity with flex and expert content, or they won't have the dopamine needed to watch it. And fifth type of content, objection handlers. So make a list of every reason people don't buy. Turn them into frequently asked questions section and record a video for each one. If you get them to consume these believed shifts before the call, you already handled 80% of the resistance. So your closers are going to have easier job closing deals. Also, fun fact. I've seen many times guys who have no idea what they are talking about make millions simply because they speak with extreme conviction and certainty. I had a friend of mine who was running a real estate marketing agency and he started with zero experience in real estate, zero knowledge. He just did the basic presentation, started cold calling real estate agents, and he started closing like 7K PIFs, even though he wasn't a native English speaker. He was calling from his basement in Europe to American businesses. And he's the friend of mine, so he sent me some sales call recording because I wasn't sure why he's so effective. Even though these are cold leads, he doesn't have proper marketing, he's just, doing good in sales. And I watched the sales call and I was like, bro, this guy is so convicted that he would sell the ice to Eskimo. That's it. And these real estate agents, even though they are salespeople, and most of the time they are very good at sales because they've been trained, they bought from this guy 7K PIFs. Why is that? Because he spoke with so much conviction that they haven't actually managed to believe that he doesn't have experience. Even though he didn't, because that's the psychology. Because subconsciously, people trust the person who sounds the most certain. If you are so spoken and hesitant, you are losing money to someone who's simply louder and more convicted than you. And honestly, fixing the sales assets is just one part of the engineering process I use with my clients to hit that 6 figures per month in profit. For some agencies, it's a done for you, where my team and I script and build your entire framing method, framing window sequence. For others who already have a team and they want to build in-house, I work as a strategic advisor to help your marketing manager and sales manager lead with transparency and sniff out lies on the call. And we look at the entire funnel from the first ad they see for the brokey model downsell for people who can't afford the main service yet. If your prospects are showing up to calls skeptical and your sales cycle is dragging on for weeks, there are ways we can fix that architecture. You can book a scaling call below to see if you need a full system implementation or just high-level consulting to sharpen your conviction. So check the links in the description or DM me on my Instagram. I also put the link in the description if you want to see. And that's the hard truth. I even wasn't able to digest that myself before, but you need to realize that if you want to genuinely scale to bigger numbers. 90% of people will lie to you on a sales call because they aren't incentivized to be truthful. They will say, I'm sold, and they ask for 3 days to think about it, which actually means they have a hidden objection you failed to pull out. I tell my clients all the time, my goal is for you to wire me 50K per month, so I have to make you 500K. Does that incentive make sense for you? Because speaking from experience, by being ruthlessly transparent about my own selfish motives, I give the prospect the permission to be honest about their own fears. If you don't get the real reason out of them on the call, you'll be chasing a ghost in the follow-up for the next 6 months. So, to sum up, if you run a coaching, consulting, or high-ticket service business, go out and implement these 5 asset types aggressively this week. Stop being a quiet expert and start being the character. If you want to know how I scaled my own agency from 0 to 50K per month in profit in just 6 months, I highly recommend you to watch the interview I did with Jordan Belfort's marketer. You can watch that on my channel. You will learn how I think, how I operate, how I went bankrupt, how I made millions, and all of that stuff. And obviously hit the subscribe button, comment below. What are your thoughts on the content? Give me the like if you like it, obviously. If you don't, I don't care. And I will throw much more bangers about scaling your businesses. So just subscribe and like. And thank you for watching, and I see you on the next one.